What up, YouTubers? Today, we're going to be talking about fasting. What about fasting, you ask? Everything. No. We're going to cover the basics, we're going to cover the goals behind fasting and why people do it, and then we're going to cover the science behind it. So, we got a lot to do. Let's hit it. So the basics of fasting. What is fasting? Fasting is where a person doesn't eat for an accumulated amount of time. How long? Usually 1 or 2 meals at a time, or up to a whole day. How many times? Usually once or twice a week. I do it once a week, it works for me, and it helps with my goals. Now we're going to transfer into goals. The goals for fasting are usually to slim down and lose some excess body fat that your body has stored over whatever amount of time. Well, that's cool and all, but how does fasting lose weight? How does fasting make a person lose body weight? Well, let me explain that. It's very complicated, and you might want to take a seat if you aren't already. Or you can stand. Standing's cool. Okay, so a review of the basics. You're not eating. That's basically the basics. And what happens whenever you don't eat? Well, let's go over what your body does with carbs, what your body does with your fats, and what your body does with your protein. So what happens in the beginning of fasting? In the beginning of fasting, your body becomes very stingy with carbs because it's realizing that its steady income of energy is gone. Think of it this way. If a person lost his or her income of money, they're going to be a little bit more stingy with their money. Probably. Most likely. Some people will... That's a totally different story. But that's how your body's going to be with carbs. Carbs are going to be saved up for vital tissues. Vital tissues include things like the kidney, the heart, kidneys, maybe kidney, depending on who you are, the heart, lungs, the brain, etc. Now we know that your body's stingy with its carbs. So what happens whenever it's stingy with carbohydrates? Well, it needs a new source of energy. This new source of energy is going to be protein. Protein, what it's going to do is break it down and turn it into glycogen. After it's turned into glycogen, it's going to store it in your blood. The reason for this is because your body doesn't care about any muscle mass. It doesn't care what you look like. It just wants to make sure it doesn't have a blood sugar crash at this point. Once your body is adjusted to this whole intermittent fasting thing you got going on, it's going to learn how to use fats as a fuel source. Now this is where the magic happens. Fats, whenever they're turned into an energy source, have a byproduct. Gotta write that down, and I'm not gonna write it, but this byproduct is ketones. Ketones are water-soluble pieces of fat. Ketones are also an energy source, but unlike fats and protein, your body can actually run on ketones. Like your vital issues that were just running on carbs a little while ago, now they can run on ketones, the byproduct of fats being used as a fuel source. And if you remember, protein was turned into glycogen to fuel blood, and now that carbs don't have to fuel your vital tissues, you guessed it, now you can put on some muscle mass. Your proteins are no longer going to be turned into glycogen. An interesting fact about ketones is that your body, like your vital tissues, your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, can all work better on ketones. So you're going to get some improved organ function there. One more thing I forgot to mention with fats and ketones. Whenever your body turns to fats for a fuel source and develops a byproduct of ketones as a result, that process right there is called ketosis. It takes a while for intermittent fasting to get you to your goal. If your goal is to lose weight, then you have to be fasting for a while. If your goal is to slim down and also gain muscle, you're going to have to fast for a little while. How long, you might ask? I'd say around a month of intermittent fasting should get you to this process that is called ketosis, which is burning fats for a fuel source instead of carbohydrates. Do you still need carbohydrates? Yes, I recommend 50 carbs a day depending on your body. So that's the end of the video. The review's done, the basics are done, the goal's done, all of that is done. I was going to use this more, but I don't have good pens. I'm gonna buy some more probably for next week's video if I have to use them. If you learned something, or felt like you learned something at least, like down here, subscribe up here, comment in the comment box below. Have a nice day.